Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of February 8th, 2015. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week starts off with Venus speaking in harmony with Pluto. Now, I love when these planets get together and speak together softly, as is the case now, because this suggests really powerful romantic experiences, exchanges, and understandings as well. It is about understanding love as a force of transformation in life and in a larger sense, certainly, but also in our lives personally. And so this tends to be a really good time if you want to reconnect to a very powerful bond that you already have, or to allow yourself to welcome in a new bond that you hope to nurture and experience. This can also be a time when we find ourselves very drawn to another person, where the attraction can feel very faded. For all that, this is not the type of bond that is just going to sort of all the pieces flow together, fall in your lap. Rather, this is the type of conversation that astrologers call a sextile, meaning that there is some action that needs to be taken. You have to work to really unravel and reveal the full blessings promised now. And the blessing is transformation. Some people will feel this more in a financial sense because Venus does also oversee money, or I like to think of it as money where it comes to understanding that we deserve to experience prosperity. And with this particular conversation, it allows us to look at where it is maybe that we need to make some changes within to allow greater prosperity to come our way. And we're motivated to make those changes as well. We can see how making changes on an internal level will allow greater blessings to come about. Now, Pluto is in a very practical earth sign, Capricorn, right now throughout this decade into the next, speaking with Venus this week, early in the week, which does suggest that we may be granted an opportunity to actually do that work, to actually do that healing as well. For some people, this will translate into sort of hearing about a really powerful opportunity, having to face fears and take some action towards really a chance that you may end up creating greater opportunity for yourself. So this could be hearing about a new job. This could be hearing about ways that you could go about to actually add, whether it's to your own business, add to your life in different ways, take on a new skill so that ultimately in the greater picture you could create more prosperity for yourself. Other than that, and that's really happening right out of the gate. So depending on where you are on the planet, you may experience this on actually be experiencing this just before the week begins, maybe experiencing this on the Saturday on the 7th. For others, it will be on the 8th that you experience this. Other than that, the only really major astrological phenomenon that's taking place is smack dab in the middle of the week. We have got Mercury going direct. So Mercury will stand still in the sky in the middle of the week and then go direct. So Mercury will return to where he was in the early part of January. So right around January the 6th, give or take a couple days on either side. Think back to what was happening in your life at that time, because this is a moment that promises a tremendous amount of clarity and insight and also progress. A way forward as well, where you get it. It's like the proverbial other shoe dropping, if you will, the penny dropping, the light being turned on. This is whatever it is that you sort of had to mull over, the ideas that you've been having. This is the moment that a lot of pieces feel like they come together and a lot of things all of a sudden make a lot more sense. It's almost as if whatever idea or circumstance has been sort of in the ether, now we understand individually in our own lives where it is that we're meant to go forward, and where it was also for some of us, where it was that it was a bad idea. Where it was that we knew that we actually wanted something different, but we were going for something because for other motivations other than what we really wanted. Where it was that we haven't been honest with ourselves. Really big when Mercury goes retrograde. We tend to want things or go for things or consider things that are not coming from a really sort of soul-based place. It's that we think we should want it for different reasons. We think it'll create greater prosperity for ourselves, greater security for ourselves, greater validation, which are all important drives. I will acknowledge that. But ultimately, with Mercury, once Mercury stands still in its most potent position, really, when a planet is standing still in the sky, it is at its most potent energy. And Mercury standing still is really about mental clarity, understanding where it is that you've been going for something that you don't actually really want, but other things have been motivating you. Where it is that you thought something was a viable option, you thought something was unfolding one way, but it's actually going another way. And the universe is asking you to be flexible or to change course, or to at the very least get honest with yourself about where you are right now in your life. So again, think back, this is Mercury returning to the place it was right around the 6th of January. It is going to be these issues that come up again for resolution. And moving forward in the next few weeks until we get into the very early part of, or the early part of March, we are going to have Mercury moving through shadow. So this is going to bring a large amount of resolution now and in the coming weeks ahead. So pay attention to your lives, always pay attention to your lives, but this time in particular, life is going to grant you a lot of clarity, a lot of honesty, and also a lot of understanding, really. And wherever it is, I do think that with Mercury as well, wherever it is that we haven't been owning what it is our experiences, what it is that we want, what it is that we're in the midst of, we now get that insight we need to make positive changes in our own lives and the lives of others around us as well. And that's really it in terms of the major astrological phenomenon taking place. Now, we still have the moon, right? The moon makes lots of aspects, speaks to lots of different planets. That's what that means for those of you not astrology students out there. The moon moves much faster through the zodiac, so that doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen this week. But when I do see a week like this where essentially, there isn't going to be any major astrological phenomenon until we get to the middle of next week and we have a new moon taking place. After that time, the cosmos, the universe starts accelerating, and we have lots more power players speaking to each other. We still have the moon, so it's still going to be emotionally a relevant week. But when I see that there's, very little happening in terms of the major stuff, it tells me a couple of things. One is the fact that the universe is saying, focus on this. This is what matters. And this week, it really is about mental clarity. And it's about allowing things to come together and allowing yourself to be honest with you. And it really is about taking whatever inspirations, ideas came up in the early part of January and now moving forward with them. So the universe wants us to focus. The other thing that this tends to mean is, as I said, the moon is still moving through the zodiac, still speaking with different power players in the sky. And this suggests to me that it's our emotions that are going to be a lot more dominant this week. So it isn't necessarily going to be other parts of us. The moon represents our emotional reality and our emotional experience. And when it is the moon that's doing some of the most important things, it does suggest that it really is the emotions that are going to lead the way to positive change, positive outcomes, and ultimately the emotions are going to be the thing that sort of guide our experience in life this week. That's an interesting dichotomy from Mercury, because Mercury is all about mind. So on the one hand, we are going to have the mind in a very strong position of great clarity, but very quickly we're able to integrate that to matters that have to do with emotions, that have to do with what we're really feeling. And from there, we'll be able to live from a place that feels that we're honoring both intellect and emotion as well. Well, thank you so much for watching the introduction. This week's FAQ question comes from Nia, who asked about Friday the 13th. Is there any astrological significance to Friday the 13th or being born on Friday the 13th? So I'll talk about that in a separate video, which should be published right around the time of this weekly horoscope. I'm so grateful for this moment with you, for you being here, all the amazing positive energy you guys send my way. This last week, we had a full moon, a really big, lucky, beautiful full moon. And lots of you shared your pictures from around the world of what the full moon was looking like. And I loved it. I just absolutely loved it. I was checking on Facebook, was where most of the sharing was happening. And I was checking on Facebook like every hour, every 2 hours to see what you guys were sharing. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for celebrating the full moon with me. I absolutely loved it and look forward to that more and more as the months go by and as we experience more and more full moons together. I really love your questions, your FAQ questions, your other more expansive questions as well. And I enjoy interacting with you guys so much. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com, and all the other places that you find me, especially also YouTube comments as well. Really enjoy interacting with you guys here as well. So please do keep those questions coming. If your questions are a little bit more personal, they have to do with what's happening in your own life based on your own circumstances, please consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that. Look at your individual unique birth chart, create a video just for you answering your questions, and you can click on the link. It's somewhere on your screen right about now. You could click on that link and it should take you to get more information. Also, the descriptions should take you to get more information on that as well. But of course, always so grateful to have this moment with you. So grateful that you are here in some way to celebrate the sky with me. And also, I just really believe that ultimately everything that I do is about affirming in the universe that the universe is wise and loving. Like, that's my mission. That is what I'm here to do. And everything I do, everything I share in the world comes from that place of wanting to affirm that. And I'm truly so grateful that you're here. In some way, I hope that this video, this horoscope does that for you. And I do hope that in some way this video infuses your life with hope and inspiration and just good, positive energy as well. Well, how all this celestial activity this week is speaking to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week we have got really a sublime romantic experience set to take place for you just as the week begins. And it does look like you are really feeling a sense of faith in the direction in which love is going, feeling a sense that you understand the larger pattern and how where you are right now in love is part of a bigger picture of your life. So regardless of whether you're with somebody or not, there is a sense of faith brewing now that the direction you are going in is good and right, and you see the wisdom of exactly where you are today in the context of your relationship, how it's fitting in with a larger plan for your life. Mercury standing still in a part of friendship should bring a friend bringing some interesting news to you, should bring a reunion of some sort, and should bring sort of a final affirmation, if you will, of sort of an ongoing matter, conversation, complication, question that may have been happening with a friend as well. All of that should come together nicely this week for you as well. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we have got your ruling planet starting off the week in a really powerful position, speaking with Pluto. And this tells me that you are feeling strong and you are feeling supported as well. A friend certainly can be a force of transformation in your life as we start off the week. Mercury standing still at the very top of your chart makes this such an important week for you. Think back to what was happening in terms of your career, but also in terms of what was happening in terms of just you understanding your direction and your life purpose. This is the sky supporting you in getting clarity and getting an understanding. Think back to early January, because now questions, opportunities, inspirations that arose then now will get another chance. And you're now building towards a new moon to take place next week, making this a really important time for your career. It really kicks off now. So pay attention to your life, pay attention to the messages that are trying to come forward about where opportunity may be, about what direction you really want to go on a soul level, and the pathway there will clear up for you and will open itself to you. You know, it's said sometimes that where there is no way, a way will be made, a pathway can open, and all of a sudden you realize that that which seemed so far out of reach is in your grasp, is absolutely attainable to you. And I think, look, if something is attainable to anybody, then it's attainable to you as well. And I think this week is going to affirm that truth to you. Hello, fabulous Gemini. We have got Mercury standing still, your ruling planet standing still in a very harmonious position to your sign, fellow air sign Aquarius. I look at this and it says to me that you really are getting clear on a vision for your life. You're getting clear on what you need to do so that you can manifest even bigger things further down the road. And you're also getting really clear on what you believe. Does it serve where it is that you desire to go? And I got to say, I do think, in all honesty, I do think that there will be more than one Gemini out there that, and I will say this, I say this with absolute gentleness, but You know, one of the most spiritual moments that you can have, one of the most profound understandings you can have is to realize how little you actually know and how big the world is. And just when you think you have all the answers, that's when the universe likes to say, oh, yeah, that's what you think. And that is a really beautiful moment. That is a really spiritual moment because that is a moment that opens us up and that allows us to welcome in new information, to realize that there's so much more to learn, to grow, to be in this life. You are going to get just that opportunity now. So if you've really sort of been getting a bit carried away, sort of on a soapbox, this is a week that's going to show you, hey, wait a minute, slow down. What you are considering as absolutely true might actually be relative. So if you've been going off a little bit on a pathway that has taken you away from having a sense of humility and a sense of interconnection with everyone, this is going to be a week that asks you to come back, that asks you to be a little bit more grounded, that asks you to get a little bit more honest with yourself as a way to ultimately strengthen yourself and find beliefs that will serve you and will move you in a direction of tangibly manifesting that which you want most. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week we have got Mercury standing still in a part of the sky for you that has to do with money. It has to do with finances. It has to do with what's called other people's money. So this is a really big theme. Started last month, continuing into this month. If there's been any financial applications that you've put in, this is a time when you should hear back. This is also a time when, especially if you think back to what was happening in early January, where you thought some pathway was closed, some decision was final, now you should hear like sort of something coming through for you that promises prosperity as well. One way that this can play out a whole lot of ways, but one way that this can play out is finally getting that check, finally getting that commissions check, that benefits check, that was long overdue, that has seemed sort of in a complicated process. And for some of you, this is going to come about very much by surprise. So maybe you thought that one source of income was closed, was done, and now a check arrives saying, well, actually, you had earned these commissions and didn't realize it, where you thought you had been paid everything you should. Now you realize there's actually a little bit more. So overall, it is a week that promises financial movement forward and financial clarity as well. It is a week that promises progress in the best possible sense. It promises you getting honest with yourself about how abundant your life actually is and how much resources you actually have at your disposal. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week we have got Mercury standing still in your opposite sign, now moving direct in the middle of the week. And on one hand, okay, relationships, partnerships, think back to what started early January, right around the 6th. You will return to that conversation. Those of you who might have, over the course of the last 3 to 4 weeks, if you've broken up with somebody, this is sort of a clarity coming in this week that says, oh, wow, okay, I broke up because I thought that was happening, but actually it was not so straightforward. Actually, I feel a little bit different. This is you reaching sort of a deeper layer of clarity as well. For some of you, this is going to play out in terms of business as well. So where you thought somebody was getting in your way, wasn't doing what you wanted them to do, now you're going to realize how much for the best it all actually has been and how much you actually value that partnership, are ready to move forward with that partnership. So any questions, considerations, uncertainties that might have been there earlier in the month of January, now you get a clearer way forward. Those of you who might have met somebody new over the course of the last 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, this is going to be sort of the moment when you realize this person is a lot more complicated than you originally thought. And we all are, really. There's always more to learn. But this will be a time when, and this will be a week when, a lot of pieces, if you met somebody beginning in early January, so as we entered the new year, if you met somebody then, this is going to be a really powerful week for you where you sort of accept and understand who this person is. For some out there, this is not, if you're honest with yourself, this is not a surprise. If you're honest with yourself, then you'll say, okay, yes, you've been showing me this. You know, there's this famous quote by Maya Angelou that I love. I think I've had it on my wall near my fridge for about 20 years now. And the quote is, when people show you who they are, believe them. And that's really the big thing this week. When people show you who they are, believe them. You've already seen who this person is, for better, for worse. Now you start to believe it, for better or worse as well. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have your ruling planet standing still and moving direct, and a part of the sky that has to do with work. Now, I have had a lot of Virgos out there contact me and say, oh, I heard about this job and then it sort of like fell through, or I'm being offered this job, but I don't know what to do about it. And do you think that this is a good idea in terms of my work? Now, this is going to be a really important week because this is a week where you get what is actually required. You get what is being asked of you in the context of the work that you're doing. Those of you who would have welcomed in, whether it was just a new project or a new client, this is going to be a time when you get really clear about how you're going to move forward, what it is that you really want to do, and how it is that you're going to empower yourself going forward as well. I really also love this week for getting sort of an energy of clarity around matters of health. So if you're one of those people who've sort of, you've been prescribed a few different things, or you've gotten a few different advice about whether it's something ongoing or just how you can experience a greater sense of well-being, this week does promise an element of clarity. If you're one of the very few Virgos out there who in the early part of January got a diagnosis that you weren't so crazy about, this can be a week, and this actually ushers in a coming 3-week period, 2 to 3 week period, where a lot of things can feel like they come together and a lot of clarity comes about. So this week really kicks off a time when if you're one of those few Virgos out there who got some health news, health feedback that didn't resonate with you or that wasn't very good, this is a week where you should get news that does feel like it resonates a lot more true, that empowers you, and also possibly is news that is actually very, very welcome as well. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we have got Mercury standing still in the part of the sky that has to do with romance. It has to do with the feelings that love provides. And I think that this week is going to be so important in that regard for you, where it comes to fun and romance and also just flirtation as well. So this can have to do with dating as well, right? So not necessarily committed relationship, but if you've been dating somebody, getting to know somebody, this is a time when you get really honest about who this person is, especially if you met this person around early January. If you broke up with somebody over the course, you and Leos alike, with Leos, it has to do with the partners. With you, it has to do with the dating. So if you've been dating somebody, if you consider this someone you're dating, maybe somebody who's a like boyfriend or girlfriend, but not necessarily a partner, not necessarily a spouse yet. And if you broke up with this person, this is going to be a time when you sort of get honest with yourself and you get the information you need to be honest about what actually happened. Did you make the right decision? I do think, and I've said this before, and I know I said this in the monthly horoscopes for you guys as well, if you break up with somebody during a Mercury retrograde in this part of the sky for you, then it tends not to stay broken up. You tend to like get more information. You tend to realize what your feelings really are, how important this person actually is to you, and things start to feel like you can now move forward with this. If you've met somebody new, this is you getting honest with yourself about who this person is and whether or not you want to continue with this bond. So do keep that in mind. I think that very likely for those of you who've been dating somebody, there might have been an element of mixed messages or confusion that led to the breakup in the first place. And so this should be a very welcome time where you get that clarity and realize that and are able to then move forward with this bond. For others of you out there, this can, if you have children, this energy, the energy of this week also speaks to maybe getting some news in regards to a child that you wish was different, or whether it was your child's education or otherwise. If you got some news, something you needed to work on with your child, weren't really sure your way forward, this week should clarify things a lot. So this can be sort of, again, if you got some news that was a little bit concerning, this can be a time when you realize that there's really nothing to be concerned about, that you can move forward with confidence, and that your kid is actually going to be okay. So if you've been concerned about a kid, this week should really help to resolve any issues that might have come up, especially if they came up back in early January. That will help you move forward, knowing how to best be of service to your child, so that your child can be really the best version of themselves. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week does suggest changes on the home front. So lots of changes happening on the home front. Changes that have to do with whether it's contracts being signed, moving, wanting to sell, wanting to buy. This is a week when really on the home front, the news comes through. And so if you are one of those people who's been waiting to put in another offer on a place that you liked, or have been trying to sell and it hasn't been going so well, this is a week when you finally can start to feel like, okay, I get where we're going. I get what needs to happen. I get my direction in terms of my home. And this can also be a week when a lot of things start to become really clear about where you're meant to be, where it is, and what it is that feels like home to you now is going to get a lot clearer. For those of you out there who might have heard some sort of issues of concern, a small percentage of Scorpios out there might have gotten some news where it comes to their parents. If you are one of those Scorpios, this should be a week when you get like the clarity and you get some news coming in that really helps you understand your way forward, that helps you feel a sense of calm as well, because over the last few weeks there might have been a little bit of confusion. Again, for a small percentage of Scorpios out there, there might have been elements of confusion around one of your parents, and if that was the case, this week you should be able to find a resolution that works really well for you on that front. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we have got Mercury moving forward in a part of the sky for you that has to do with communication, that has to do with connection, that has to do with trusting the moment, especially the random moment at that. You add to this that Mercury is the ruling planet of your opposite sign. So opposite sign has to do with partnership, romantic or business partnerships. It has to do with the alliances you create. And this could be a time of agreement. That's what really comes down to. Having a conversation that clarifies the way forward, having a conversation that leads to an agreement and what you really want to do. So if you're in a committed relationship, this can be a really powerful time of understanding each other and understanding the balance that you need and how it is that you're going to go forward together stronger than ever. And it really comes to airing out some issues that maybe have been in the ether. Maybe there have been some implications. This is a time to say, okay, what did you really mean by that? What was really going on there? You can expect, I will say, when you're talking to a partner as well, again, romantic or business, you may have a Freudian slip. I mean, this week to me just, screams that. And it will hearken back to issues that came up in the early part of January. So where it was that you haven't been fully honest with yourself about what you really feel, you are likely to have a sort of one of those Freudian slips, one of those moments when you say something and you're like, oh my God, why did I say that? Well, that's the good question. Why did you say that? What truth is it reflecting? And if you go along those lines, what truth is being reflected by what I said, you'll be able to open up a sort of a line of communication that allows you to not only be honest with yourself, but to be honest with the other person as well. Where it is that your expectations have been met, where they haven't, where it is that you see yourself going with this person or not. And that in turn will ensure that you move this connection along a line that does get you more of what you believe is the best that this person offers to your life. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. The week starts off with Venus speaking in harmony with Pluto in your sign, adding some romance, adding some softness, adding some beauty to your moments as well. But what we also have is Mercury standing still in the sign just after yours, which has to do with money. It has to do with finance. It's a part of the sky for you that has to do with knowing that you can take action to provide for yourself and those to whom you are responsible. It has to do with understanding the relationship between the energy you are giving and what is being returned to you. This is a powerful week in that regard that shows you exactly what it is that you believe about the energy that you're putting out, that you're giving to the world, where it is that you haven't been valuing yourself enough. You're now going to get a very clear message from the universe. Where it is that you've been pursuing a line of financial progress, this is a week where you should experience some forward movement taking place, especially where it comes to matters that came up in the early part of January. So if in the early part of January you heard of some financial opportunity or something that you wanted to do that you believed would create greater prosperity in your life, now is the time when you get clear, okay, yes, this is a source of prosperity, or it isn't, or you're better off putting your energy elsewhere, or it is your own beliefs that are determining what's coming back to you. So what belief specifically needs to shift so you can welcome in greater prosperity? So it goes from the literal in terms of preparing for and understanding what needs to happen now so that you can make full use of the new moon coming up next week and take full advantage of a financial opportunity that is in the ether. This week shows you where you can sort of take up the baton once again. And where it is that this is more of a personal process, and often it is a very personal process where you start to understand that where it was that you were maybe getting in your own way of doing what it is that you most desire to do, this is a week that's going to get you honest with yourself about that and seeing what you can do now to move yourself towards the prosperity you desire. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we have got some really lovely developments taking place, especially with Mercury standing still in your sign and then moving direct. Think back to what was happening early January. I've been saying this to all the signs. What was happening early January? You will be returning to it. You will get clarity around it. Now, this becomes especially pronounced for you, especially true for you because of the fact that this is happening in your sign, Mercury, standing still, and it comes right down to identity, right down to what matters to you most. And I think a big question that a lot of Aquarians out there are going to be asking themselves is, who am I? Who am I right now? Not who were you last year? Who did you always think you were going to be? But who are you right now? What your identity is, who you've been understanding yourself to be, has been going through a really important process since the early part of January. And you are in the midst, this first 2 months of the year, very important time frame for you that really is going to set the course for not only this year, but much longer as well for some Aquarians out there. And this really is now about getting clear about who you are today. How are you going to move forward with your life today? Who do you understand yourself to be, and accepting that it is okay to change? What is it, that sort of consideration? What is it that you started struggling with within yourself in the early part of January? Well, now you find that resolution, you make peace with it, and you accept who you are and exactly where you are in this very moment of your life with open arms. My friend Cindy, she gave me this great advice a few months back. She said, it's okay to change what you want. It's okay to change what you want. It's okay to change who you are. It doesn't mean that you're doing something that is hypocritical, which I think is a really big fear of a lot of Aquarians out there. You're not hypocritical for evolving. If you root where you are today, your understanding of who you are today, in the principle of evolution, then you will see and you will accept that where you are right now is perfect, and it is actually exactly where you want to be, even if it is very different than where you thought you wanted to be not that long ago. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we have, starting off the week with Venus in your sign, speaking in harmony with Pluto. I love this for you. I love this energy for you because it says that you are feeling very sexy. I'm just going to put it out there. You're feeling beautiful. You're feeling a sense of power around your own sensual energy. And there is sort of a change of attitude that is taking place with understanding yourself and your ability to be persuasive, your ability to be charming as well. Now, if Mercury wasn't retrograde, I got to be honest, Mercury retrograde often brings us making choices or making purchases that a little bit further down the road, especially once Mercury leaves shadow, we may see a shirt, we're crazy over it, we think it's the perfect thing, we buy it and we wear it once or twice, Mercury leaves shadow, we go, what was I thinking? That's so not what I'm about. Of course, it depends where Mercury is going retrograde. Now for you, Mercury is going retrograde in a part of the sky that feels very much like home. In fact, astrologers would call this your house in the sky. And so when I see this particular configuration taking place in this part of the sky, it suggests to me that you are making some very powerful understandings about your own appreciation, your own power to be beautiful in the world, your own understanding on an intellectual level of what it means to be you as well. Now, as I said, Mercury retrograde aside, I do think that given this conversation, the very early part of the week, the weekend that starts the week, is a really great time for you to be thinking about purchasing some items that make you feel beautiful, because it does look like whether it's something of luxury, something of beauty, something that you take on is likely to really be a really great find, especially if it's something that you had wanted to get before, but you sort of let it go, or something that you thought you wanted and you went back and they didn't have it. This could be a time when the universe really is on your side to get that thing, that item of clothing, that piece of jewelry, that makeup, that product to use, that body shower gel, something that smells really amazing, something that makes you feel really amazing, to actually get that and to secure that and leave you feeling really, really lucky, and leave you feeling that you actually got something that makes you feel good. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally. It's okay to spoil yourself. And as long as you are not feeling, it doesn't have to do with the price of the thing, right? I'm very much of the belief money is relative. That number is relative. What you think of when you think of $10 is what somebody else thinks of when they think of $100 or $1,000 or $10,000. It really is so relative. So, of course, you don't want to go into that space where you feel like you're breaking the bank for you personally, whatever that means for you. But if it feels right and if it feels natural, you may find yourself coming across something that just adds a lovely addition to your life and to your look as well. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.